Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I want to talk about upscaling FSR3, DLSS. I want to talk about frame generation, and I want to talk about some of the other things that we've been getting with our graphics cards and our consoles to make image quality look even better. Now, like I've said before, I have said that I I came into this generation like I did. I came into this generation like anti-upscaler, anti-this, anti-that. When I tried DLSS, I mean, I liked it, but it made, like I said, it was making my image quality a little bit too sharp. So it never really caught on with me. Like DLSS never really like caught me like, oh yeah, this looks incredible. It just worked. And that was okay. It gave me like a false sense of being able to play at higher resolutions. It gave me a false sense of being able to push the graphics card hardware that I had in ways that it wasn't designed. That clearly it wasn't designed for. So now I'm on the AMD side, and I've just had my first experience with FSR3 and frame generation, as well as being able to use native AA to, and as well as frame generation at the same time. And okay, like it made it a lot better for me because it launched with a game that I absolutely love. I love Forspoken. Like I've been playing Forspoken since it came out. I love that game. I've beat it twice. I beat it once on freaking PlayStation 5. I beat it once on the PC. I'm playing it again. I'm still playing it. So it did help tremendously for me to be able to utilize these technologies with a game that I like. Now, I gotta say it. Like, I do stand corrected on the whole frame generation thing. Like, I don't know how it works on Nvidia graphics cards, but if it works and looks and feels like it does on my AMD graphics card with DLSS 3 or whatever, then wow, man, this is some pretty impressive technology. It really does enhance the experience, and that's the thing, and that's the best part about it. I personally, since I've been on the AMD graphics cards, I do believe, like I firmly believe that I'm getting better image quality than I was with the Nvidia. And that dude, you can take that however you want. Visual quality is subjective to every single person that sees something. Everybody that looks at an image could completely see different things about that image quality that they like, that they don't like. Now that is, you can 100% take that to the bank as being purely subjective, but I do 100% believe that I have better image quality on the AMD graphics cards. I've been utilizing FSR2 a lot more frequently than I ever have. I've put it on, when I'm playing on 4K, when I'm playing Starfield, or when I'm playing some of these other games. I've been utilizing FSR2. And as what I've come to notice is that FSR2 is delivering more of that image quality that I like. It is enhancing that from even just from native. It really does look pretty good. But then we got FSR3. Now, I was just playing Forspoken the other day. I was just playing it using FSR2 quality, and when I look, I wish I would have recorded some good footage of that. But when I look at the overall image quality compared to what I remember from FSR2, it looks significantly better. Like it does. Like I'm not seeing any of like I would look out in the distance and I would see like a grainy fuzz on like the trees and stuff when I was using like FSR2 in quality mode. I mean, it was way in the distance, so I didn't really pay too much attention to it. It didn't really ever like stand out to me like way too much. I was just like, oh yeah, that looks a little bit grainy, a little bit, but it's way out there. It doesn't matter. When I was sitting there stopped and I was like examining like the overall image quality, I'm not getting that with FSR3 now. It looks better. It looks better in the distance. It looks way better up close. The overall, the amount of detail that seems to be brought out with FSR2 or FSR3 in the quality mode looks good. And one of the games that I did a lot of testing on with the different levels. I haven't tried any of the different levels on Forspoken just yet. Because even in quality mode, I was getting like really high frame rate, and I was like, "Whoa, this is impressive." So, Immortals of Avium is a fairly heavy game. Like it's a pretty heavy game. Like it still like drags your like you're still getting, even on my 7900 XT, I'm still getting like a limited frame rate. Even in 1440p, I'm like 70 frames a second, and I'm like, whoa! But then when I turn it on, I'm like up into the hundreds. So I did play around with that game though. I went from the quality all the way down to ultra performance, and even ultra performance in that game looks significantly better than it ever did before. I mean, we're not seeing any of the ghosting. I mean, you are seeing like a little bit of artifacting in like vegetation around straight areas when you're strafing the camera. If you look in my gauntlet, I have like this little triangle thing at the very point of mine, like if you're using the blue one, and when you're turning that, you can kind of see like a little bit of a blur inside that hole or whatever, and then like you do see a little bit of breakup on like the vegetation and stuff. But it looks significantly better than it ever did. I mean, like all the image quality across the board still looks the same, but the movement does add like some instability to the overall image on ultra performance that goes away on performance and balanced and quality. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, gosh dang, dude, did they really crack the code for FSR? Is FSR really competitive enough to compete with DLSS? I think yeah. I think that this software-based solution that AMD has come up with, and I mean, it might take longer. And I hear that. I hear that complaint from the other side all the time, that it just takes AMD too long to blah blah blah, do whatever. Here's the thing, man, and let me be as clear as possible, like as clear as day when I say this. When I bought my AMD card, I didn't buy it to rely on magic. I bought it for the VRAM and the rasterized power so that I could power through at 1440p whatever I wanted to play. That was my goal with this card. All of these other extra added bonuses of FSR 3, FSR 2, frame generation, in any of these other little magical things that come with this HyperRX, those are all like cherries on the top. And that's the way I feel like about AMD. Like I feel like any of the software stuff on top of that, the Adrenaline software, all of that, cherry on top. Literally a cherry on top. When I think of Nvidia graphics cards, I think of, you have to utilize these things. Like this is my honest thoughts, man. I feel like you're paying for all of this extra software stuff over and above what the graphics cards can do. Because if you strip them both down to just pure rasterized power, that 4090 is not way more powerful than a 7900 XT. The 4080 isn't like super more powerful than like a 7900 XT. If you go in and you look at like hundreds of benchmarks, or like an aggregate of all of the benchmarks put together, the 4080 is about 15 frames ahead of a 7900 XT. And it's about the same for a 4090. Like you're talking 15 frames. And you're paying significantly more for those graphics cards. Like you're paying a lot more for any Nvidia card. Like you're for a 4070 Ti or a 4070 Ti, you're about $800, and that's what you can get a 7900 XT for. You should be like, them prices should be like, the 4080 should be right around the same price as the 7900 XT. They are pretty dang close when it comes to rasterized power. Now you do get the added, so now let me tell you what you're paying all that extra money for: the ray tracing and the DLSS software. Like that's what you're paying for. You're paying all that extra money for this stuff, and it's one of those things where, like, if that matters to you, if that is like your main thing, if you want the upscalers and you want all of that, 100% go with the 4080. Your 4080's got 4 less gigs of VRAM than a 7900 XT. I do think that longevity wise, if you care about gaming and you want a game and ray tracing is not super duper important to you, I would honestly recommend AMD. I would recommend AMD to most gamers, to be completely honest with you. It's once you go AMD, and this has been my experience, once you go AMD, you kind of just feel at peace. Like I feel at peace. I'm able to I'm able to enjoy what I want to enjoy more because everything is there. It's like right there. The Adrenaline software, you get in there, you play around with stuff. It's easy to set up, very easy to understand. Definitely took me a lot less time to get into like the AMD software side and really start figuring out how to do things and have fun. It's all right there. Everything is just right there. It's boom. Like there's even what is it, like an automatic overclocking button that you could just push that button, restart your PC, and it'll just automatically overclock everything for you, and it's cool. Like I like that. I like the user friendly experience that comes with the AMD's product line. Like I love that. That to me is more important than paying for these extra features that, let's face it, man, sometimes they fall short. And if they're already falling short in stuff that's already like 3 years old, imagine how it's going to run, like hopefully you would be able to get your money's worth out of a 4090 or a 4080 or even a 4070 Ti. But I just don't feel like, I mean, even the 1440p card for the AMD stack comes with 16 gigs of VRAM. Or you've got like the 7900 XT or the 7700 XT, which I kind of believe is like super high quality 1080p, entry level 1440p. That's just where I factor 12 gigs of VRAM now. Like I factor 12 gigs of VRAM as like the new standard for 1080p. I just do. Like in my brain, going forward, thinking about all of this stuff, thinking about like textures and how everything is going to grow, all of that type of stuff, I do just kind of see that 12 gigs is like the bare minimum you would need for entry level 1440p, but definitely set for high end 1080p with ray tracing. Like I believe that 8 gigabytes is going to be more of like your, hey man, hopefully this works at 1080p. Like, don't get me wrong though, an 8 gigabyte card should be sufficient enough for some games that are going to be coming out. Like it should. Like there's still games that are going to come out that are going to work just fine with 8 gigs of VRAM, and that's not going to be a problem. But once you start getting into these like higher AAA quality games, like yeah, you're going to need more VRAM. If you want ray tracing, you're going to need more VRAM. If you want to add mods to all of your games, I'm hearing that a lot in the communities. Like AMD cards have the VRAM, so you can add more mods, because essentially, apparently they take more VRAM, and that there should tell you all you need to know. I personally, as a gamer, as your friend, as a gamer just like you that has the same budget constraints, that has the same freaking the anxiety that you might have, that has the same freaking just want to play games and not worry about like the whole nonsense and stuff. But I chose to become a content creator, so I'm just trying to help you because I do see you guys as my friends. Like I do. Like I may not see you, I may not know you on like a first name basis or phone number, but I still feel like you guys are my friends. I feel like we all share the same common love for games and tech and all of that in common. So when I buy a product and I review it for you guys, man, I'm just giving you my honest opinion. I'm not trying to sugarcoat stuff or make you feel like, oh gosh, you need this. I do kind of just feel burned with the Nvidia experience. I just wasn't ready for it. And I don't think most gamers are going to be. I think that Nvidia is designed in a way, and this is fine. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, this is fine. If you've got money to blow and you want like the bleeding edge tech all the time, by all means, yeah, dude, Nvidia might be perfect for you. If you don't mind upgrading every 2 years, yeah, dude, Nvidia is awesome. But I kind of feel like Nvidia is designed and marketed to that type of person. And I feel like people like me that are not like, I feel like people like me that are more like, yeah, dude, I mean, I buy my console, I wait like my 7 years, I get my new console, I'm excited. I feel like people that are conditioned like me from console gaming, that are coming from console gaming, are not really going to be as accepting of the whole Nvidia marketing and the whole Nvidia experience, because I do feel like they're going to feel that need to upgrade. I did start experiencing that, like with a 3080 or a, we're as console gamers, we're used to our games looking better across the generation. We're used to seeing improvements from our hardware from day one till the end of the generation. We're used to seeing that. We're used to receiving that. Last generation was the first time that we ever felt like we had to upgrade, and that was due to 4K TVs. But now we're like, wait a minute, no. And I do think that this is starting to happen in the console space too. I do think that Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 might not be sufficient for the new technologies that are coming out for 4K. So they might need a console refresh. But still, we're talking 4 years into a cycle as opposed to 2 years. Console gamers just aren't there yet. We're just not there yet. So when I look at the overall experience and I compare like the AMD experience to the Nvidia experience, and I see and I read people's comments, and I see how other people are still enjoying their 6000 series AMD graphics cards well into like this new generation and still being able to play these games because they have the VRAM, they have the power. The VRAM was very important from last generation. Nvidia did do a lot better this generation, but I still think that maybe 2 years we might be on the upgrade path again. You know what I mean? That's why I was like, okay, I'm gonna give AMD a shot. I'm gonna see how it is. We're gonna get in there and we're gonna see if it can hold up. For the first while, I wasn't playing around that much with the FSR, but now I am. I'm coming around to the whole upscaling. Like I am. I'm not like to the point where it's like, oh man, I gotta have upscaling. Like I'm not as hardcore as the Nvidia bros. Like when something like Starfield comes out, I'm not like, oh man, I didn't get DLSS. I just bought Overpass. This game has ray tracing, everything in there. I don't have any FSR support for that. I have to run it native, and it works. It works just fine. And I'm like, wow, okay, cool. I get to play this game. Unreal Engine 5, racing game, highly crafted tracks. Very good. I could play it at 1440p, a high refresh rate. I could play it at 4K, depending on the situation. If I turn off ray tracing, well over 60. If I leave ray tracing on, I'm about 45 to 60 frames per second on that. And that to me is an acceptable experience. Like I'm perfectly okay with that because my graphics card can run this game. As opposed to being like, oh man, I gotta have FSR to run it. I gotta have. See, I'm not to the point yet where I'm gonna be jumping on and like demanding like FSR support, but I will ask for it. Like I mean, I was on Twitter the other day asking CD Projekt Red if they're gonna bring FSR 3 anytime soon, and the only reason I'm asking that is because I would like to wait until that arrives so that I can. So that it will enhance my experience. That's a pretty heavy game. Like whether you're playing on Nvidia graphics cards or AMD graphics cards, Cyberpunk 2077, very impressive looking game with a pretty demanding overall freaking with pretty demanding overall settings. So I would like to see FSR 3 come to that. Maybe like The Witcher 3, some of my older games, I do like the tech, especially if it's going to enhance my experience without me having to pay more money. Like I'm perfectly cool with that. I do kind of feel, like I said, and I've said this a few times, I do feel like Nvidia is more for like that, not advanced gamer, but like that person that just really likes to push things to the limit. Like I feel like Nvidia is good for those people. I do. Like I'm not saying that Nvidia makes bad products. I'm just saying that Nvidia, the way they market their products can be very misleading to new gamers or people that are trying to get into it, because you're going to waste a lot of money trying to figure that out. Whereas you can get an AMD graphics card and you could be up and running pretty quickly and have an enjoyable experience like pretty quickly. I do think that both. This is my honest thought, man. Like I do think that both graphics cards have like their pros and cons. Like they do. I do feel like I feel like if you're new to PC gaming, 100% go with AMD. 100%. Like I feel like your experience is going to be more user friendly, and I feel like you're going to have a better experience. And that's just my honest opinion. After being with Nvidia for a couple of years, it just never really was clicking with me to a point where I was like, yeah, dude, I like PC gaming. As fast as AMD has like completely changed my mindset, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. And you always hear about people talking about having to play with settings, having to do this, having to all of this stuff, and they get annoyed with it, and it's just too much. That was the Nvidia experience for me. Like I was like, oh my gosh, it's just I'm sometimes I just don't have time for it. I got to create content, or I got to go to work, or I got to do this, and I was just like, oh, this is frustrating. But then I come over to AMD and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. I can just push this button and I can play whatever I want. Cool, sounds very cool, man. Get in there, you play the game, it runs great. It's really that simple. Like it's really that much more simple on the AMD software. You get in there and you hit HyperRX. You're like, oh, that color looks a little dull. Okay, slide the little bar over. Saturation comes up. Looks better. Don't want sharpening? Just slide the sharpening thing back. It's simple. It's simple. Like it makes more sense for the way AMD Adrenalin software is set up for new people to PC, like it does. When you get into like if you're an Nvidia bro, like you understand, like, and I don't call you guys Nvidia bros as like an insult. I promise you, like it's not an insult. I just call you Nvidia bros because I'm not gonna sit and call you guys fanboys. That just seems rude. So I'll call you guys Nvidia bros. You got the AMD bros. I call the AMD bros AMD bros. It's just you know what I mean. Like I don't want to be. I don't want to be like, what is it, like dismissive or rude to anybody, but if you do find that offensive, just know that, like, look, dude, like, you're an Nvidia bro, you're still my friend. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're just an Nvidia bro, that's how I classify it. Nvidia bro, AMD bros. Like, and I don't know, it just kind of sounds like a little bit divisive, but it shouldn't. Like, if you're an Nvidia bro and you're happy, be an Nvidia bro and be happy. If you're an AMD bro and you're happy, be an AMD bro and you're happy. But you know, if you find something, if you're an Nvidia guy and like you have questions, like, dude, I want to answer those. I want you guys to understand and know that like switching to AMD is not the end of the world. It's actually freaking pretty cool. Like I really do like this, and I feel like if you're struggling on PC and you're an Nvidia gamer, like you're an Nvidia bro, give AMD a shot, man. You might actually like it. I'll tell you right now that the software alone is enough to keep me on AMD. I love the software. I love being able to, you know, I'm getting updates, you know, pretty quickly when new games come out. And like I'm not getting like the stuttering. I've noticed that. Like I've noticed that significantly. All these games I've bought since I've been on AMD in the last 90 days. This is good, my friends. This is good. I'm not getting all the stuttering that everybody was talking about, and I did not buy Mortal Kombat on PC, so I don't know. I know I kind of poked some fun at that, but it is what it is. But I mean, like, we just went on like a whole rant. The whole main thing about this was, look, man, I stand corrected when it comes to frame generation. I do think that it can significantly impact and significantly enhance the overall experience. And if it wasn't for Forspoken being that first game, I don't know, man. If it was something that I was like, oh, I don't know if I even want to play this game, or I've already beat this or something like that. But it happened to be a game that I continuously go back to and that I continuously play. And I can tell you that yes, it did enhance the experience. I'm now playing it over 100 frames a second at 4K, and it looks incredible. Before I was getting about 50-ish to 60 frames with quality on FSR2 at 4K. So it was still, I mean, it was playable, but it still wasn't optimal. Now it's optimal, and I have noticed, like I'm going to tell you guys this right now, I have noticed there's going to be a lot of people out there talking about latency, obviously, because of frame generation. I can tell you in both the games, Immortals of Avium and in Forspoken, I am not feeling any latency. In fact, my controller feels significantly more responsive. I'm not just saying that. Like you got to understand, dude, I am a gamer. I play these games. I actively play these games. I'm not a benchmark channel. I'm not a PC channel. I'm a gamer. Now I'm telling you, when I'm playing these on my controller, I can feel, literally feel, that this feels more responsive. On both the DualSense Edge, that's what I was playing Forspoken with, and the Xbox controller, that's what I was playing Immortals of Avium with, I am feeling a boost in my control. Like it does feel, I'm not getting any more latency, and it feels better than what I was getting at like 60 frames per second minimum. Like it does. It feels significantly better. So, I will probably be making more content like this for the rest of the weekend. I've got some the AMD Fluid Motion Fluid Motion frames that I'm going to be testing out. I've tried it on a few games. I'm not getting like the results that I think I should be getting. So I'm trying to like do a little more reading up on it, trying to read through things, trying to figure out how to set this up and how to do things. So that might take me the rest of this weekend, but I'm fully committed to figuring this out so that I can bring you the best information that I can. But it is one of those things, I have to figure this out myself because I have to go step by step so that I can figure it out so that I know. I have to know from like the front to the back how to do these things, or it doesn't click in my brain, it doesn't make sense, and then I just make mistakes. And I'm trying to be a lot more thorough on this channel going forward so that when I cover these products, I can give you better information. Because 99% of the time, because of the limited time that I have with work and all of the other things, sometimes, man, there are products that I will buy that I will never fully utilize. That's just the way it happens. And especially since I've started this channel, I've gotten products that I have yet to fully utilize. And I just feel bad because now they're just sitting there like my fight stick, man. Or, I have been taking, more approach to the ROG Ally. I've definitely been doing more content for that. I'm trying to get at least a video or two out a week for that. There's just products that I haven't fully utilized. I'm still trying to figure out the LGC2. It's just a process for me. So this is very important to me. This AMD card right now, this new, it's like a test thing. We're able to get into like this beta software for the AMD card so that we could help test out the 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 AMD Fluid Motion frames for this for AMD and stuff. And I like being a part of that. I do. I like being a part of that. I like the fact that they're like, hey man, we said early next year, but this is what we're gonna do. We're going to give you guys access. We're going to work on this together. We're going to let you guys see where we're at. And we're gonna listen to your feedback. Like, I freaking appreciate that. That makes me excited. That makes me excited that they're like, hey man, we're not putting this into the price of your card. Like we're gonna price your card at a fair market value. Maybe a little more at first, maybe a little bit less. We want to try to get some money, or we're building this stuff. But we are gonna develop software for you that's gonna make your experience better. That makes me love AMD. That makes me like them. That makes me appreciate them. I don't want to pay Nvidia a whole bunch of money for this stuff when it's like it takes forever. Like it would be a different story. Like honestly, even with AMD, I wouldn't care if they charged more money. If this was launched and every game supported it, yeah, whatever. Okay, cool. Let's do it. If same with the DLSS 3 and FrameGen and all that, if it launched and every single game supported it and I didn't have to wait for games to receive this, it would be a different story. But we're paying upfront for things that we're barely going to be able to use by the end of we're almost a year into this generation with AMD. Almost a year. By next year, we'll be a whole nother year into it, so we'll have definitely more titles and stuff. But then when the next generation comes out, like they'll sell us the card, and then the new benefits and stuff for that we'll be waiting for. And it's the same with Nvidia, and you can't say it's not. Yes, they're getting more support for it, and it's growing. And how many games can you count on one finger that have path tracing? I mean, on one hand, you could count all the games that have path tracing on one hand. You could count all the games that have DLSS 3.5 on one finger. On one finger. So, Don't come at me and say that, oh, AMD is slow and they're blah, blah, blah. Like, you're waiting either way you go. Like, it doesn't matter. And anybody trying to convince you that you're not, that's not what I would call helpful. That's not helpful. That's not helpful at all. I mean, I get that you might be hyped about your product, but man, some people might not have the money to pay all that extra money to just wait, to wait. I don't feel like you're doing that with AMD. If you're going out, honestly, if you're like, yeah, I think I might get an AMD card because of FSR3 and blah blah, that's not the reason to buy an AMD card. The reason to buy an AMD card is like, hey man, I want to play at 1440p. 7800 XT has 16 gigs of VRAM. It's got enough power. Ooh, that looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to jump on it. I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to buy that. Then you're looking at the Nvidia stack. You're like, oh gosh, man, the 4070 Ti, they got 12 gigs of VRAM. Like, is that going to last a very long time? I don't know. I'm just going to buy it anyways. It's like $500. It's like $300 more. You see what I mean? Like, you're going to pay all that money for a feature that's like going to make you feel like, yeah, dude, I can play 4K. But then you're like, oh no, I can't really even play 1440p that long with this. So here's the thing, man. Like, I'm not trying to come down on Nvidia, but I do think that, like, hey man, it's not helpful to like really fanboy about stuff, but it is helpful to like look at the bigger picture, you know? Yes, Nvidia has some cool stuff that comes out. Oh, I have that that window open today, and it's kind of like the trees moving. Nvidia has that like forward thinking stuff that's like, yeah man, let's hurry up and get that. But let me close that freaking window. Nvidia has that forward thinking stuff, but they charge way too much for it. But then AMD is like, yeah dude, like, we're gonna sell you this is the graphics card. Look, you get 7800 XT, you get 16 gigs of VRAM. This should do you good for 1440p gaming. You should be solid with it. But we're going to be bringing out like FSR3, and we're going to bring out frame generation. You'll be able to utilize this stuff. We're going to do some driver stuff. We're going to bring out AMD Fluid Motion framing, or Fluid Motion frames, that's going to be able to use on DX11, DX12. Planning next year for the official launch, but we're going to go ahead and give you access to that right now so that you can start trying it out, blah, blah, blah. You know, you see where I'm going with this? It's like, you're getting your 1440p graphics card day one. You're getting that. You're getting your 4K graphics card day one. You're getting your 1080p graphics card day one. You're not waiting for anything. You are getting what you're paying for day one with AMD. Like, you're getting that. With Nvidia, like, you are paying forward for technology that might not last you the whole generation. It might not last you as long as you want it to last unless you get like a top end card. I mean, even the 3090 doesn't even have frame generation. Well, it does now because AMD brought it out for them. But you see where I'm going with this? You are paying all that money for features that Nvidia could be like, well, you know what, man? We put this different chip in this card, so yeah, we're not going to be able to give you that. So I like AMD's approach to this. Like, I do. I kind of feel like we could split hairs all day long. But Nvidia guys, you're never going to convince me that AMD's bad. And AMD guys, you're never going to convince me that like the Nvidia is complete evil. I mean, they're pretty like they're up there. There's a reason why they're number one. They do have some pretty cool tech, and it is pretty hard to separate. But like, yeah, I don't know. As far as it goes right now, like I really do appreciate AMD. I think it's a solid experience. I think that you're getting exactly what you pay for when you buy the card. I don't feel like you're waiting for anything. I really don't. I mean, if like AMD, you know, bringing FSR3 and stuff to these games a year late, I didn't buy this card for upscaling. I didn't buy it for upscaling. I bought it for rasterized power and VRAM. That's what I bought it for, and that's what I got. And I'm happy with what I got. Now this is like the cherry on top. So if you guys like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. I really appreciate you watching these long blah, blah, blah videos. It helps the channel a lot, and I really do appreciate you. Thank you.